in Melbourne, which I think Jimmy Barnes actually put in his book because he finds it really amusing. It was back in the day when Jimmy sang backups on I Am an Island, and he was going to be in Melbourne the same time, the same weekend as me. So the idea was I was doing a gig in Melbourne at Fern Tree Gully. Now, Jimmy was doing the Palais in St Kilda, and he was supposed to come down to Fern Tree Gully and get up on stage with me as a surprise and start doing I'm an Island. And he didn't show up. So consequently, I thought, oh, well, nothing's happening tonight. And so I sat backstage. We had a good gig, sat backstage with my band and proceeded to drink heaps and heaps of beer and wine and got pretty tiddly. Then a driver turned up into the dressing room and said, "Oh, Mr. Clapton, Mr. Barnes asked me to come and get you." And I went, "Oh, could you tell him he couldn't find me or something?" But anyway, I got taken back to the Palais in St Kilda. Jimmy was playing to this packed house, and I really didn't want to get up on stage because I was swaying in the breeze, put it that way. Michael Gudinski put me next to the monitor guy on the side of the stage, and Jimmy kept running over, and this is when Jimmy was still doing vodka, and he'd pull my head back by my hair and tip vodka down my throat. So, I mean, I was just gone. And as I said, my nickname's Ralph, and Jimmy's up on stage. I think he had about 2,000 people in the room, and he'd keep going on about Ralph this and Ralph that. And by this time I'd had so much vodka, I'd keep scrambling up on stage, and I'd be swaying in the breeze, standing behind Jimmy, and Jimmy would be looking at the audience. His band would be cracking up. The audience, 2,000 people would be cracking up laughing, and he couldn't figure out what everyone was laughing at. And then he'd swing around and he'd go, "No, not now." Oh, I can't use the language. "You stupid, well, you fill in the blank." There used to be a high-tech guitar called a Steinberger, and the strap to the Steinberger only goes on one central pivot. It's not like a normal guitar, that hangs off two nuts on either side of the guitar. So by the time I actually got up on stage with him, he was putting his Steinberger guitar around me, and of course, me being drunk, it'd immediately swing around to my back. And I was just standing there going, and he'd go, "All right, start it out." And I'd go, "But I need a guitar." "It's on your back, you stupid." And I go, "No, it's not." So he'd keep swinging it around to my front. He did this about 3 or 4 times. And each time he'd swing it around to my front, it'd immediately swing around onto my back. And I'm standing there swaying in the breeze. Anyway, by this time, 2,000 people are just howling with laughter. Now, there's so much more to this story, but I'll just give you the sequel to it, which was the next day. And my tour manager came into my room and just said he'd never seen such a disgraceful display in all his life. So about 5 o'clock that night, I thought, well, I've got to phone Jimmy and say something. So I did, and I phoned Jimmy's hotel. Jimmy picked up the phone, and I'm blubbering, "Oh, Jimmy, I'm so sorry." And he's going, "Sorry for what?" And I said, "Well, my behaviour last night. You were fantastic." Anyway, he's just gushing about how great I was on stage and how entertaining I was. And anyway, there you go.